Hey guys and girls, it's Blackjack with 396 Guitars. We have the J bass neck back on the bench today. We're going to cut off the pegs that we put in and installed in the last video. We're going to cut them off. I'm going to show you how to flush cut them so that it'll be ready to receive the body, or the body receive the neck later on. We're going to get that done first, and I've already started to remove the frets. We're doing a full fret job on this, not just leveling. My opinion was that the frets wires in the lower register were just too badly divoted, and I wasn't confident that after leveling that they would be acceptable. So let's take a look at it and get to work. If you dig what I'm doing, please like and subscribe. We're in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Let's get to work. So there's our victim. You will see the pegs that we put in last video. I have already cut off one of them. I flush cut it. I'm going to show you how we flush cut the rest of them. Flush cuts off. Don't try to do this with anything else. This will cut it right off clean, and if there's anything left at all, yeah, maybe sometimes, but you know, if your fingernail doesn't catch on it, it's going to sit in the pocket and not cause a neck angle issue. So let's do this. You get it? And it doesn't matter what flush cut saw you use, it says this side up. So try to get it level and go slow. As I said, I already did one. I'll knock this one off and show you how it's done, and just like that it comes off clean, and you'll notice there is no scratch marks anywhere on there. That's what a flush cut saw does. There may be some stuff left, but a little tiny bit of sandpaper if you absolutely have to, but trust me when I tell you it's not going to cause a neck angle issue. But I always clean them up a little bit. Just, you know, if your finger catches something, then, you know, like this one, there's just enough to catch the fingernail. That's not abnormal. It doesn't mean it's perfect, but look at, you know, you cut them off, and it leaves the integrity of the rest of the wood. So I'm going to cut these other two off, and if we have to sand any of them, I'm going to show you how to do that really quick. So stand by. I'm going to pause briefly. So just like that, in a matter of seconds, you knock off the studs, and there is literally no sanding required. I mean, it's negotiable. Some guys will flip out and go, oh no, I got to polish it up, but there are no scratches. Flush cut saw, it's your friend, and you will use it. There's the little studs that came off, and this is ready now. When I put it in the neck in the pocket of the guitar, we're going to have it upside down so that the body is upside down. And what we're going to do is transfer a mark. And we're going to pre-drill, pilot drill, to accept the right neck screws for those. That's a permanent fix. And trust me, the only thing, if anything at all, that one is so smooth. The only thing at all that might be sticking up is the wood glue. And just a little scuff with some sandpaper and it will come right off. But if we're, you know, if you were shimming a neck, trust me, it's if your fingernail doesn't get caught on it, it's not going to change your neck angle. So that is the first. I'm going to save these pegs. You never know what you're going to need them for. No, yeah, put them in there. Arts and crafts today. Now on the other side, you will notice we already took off 4 fret wires, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now. And we have to do them all, but I'm going to show you a couple of them. And it's pretty neat. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so that we can see it. It's messy. It's kind of an unsettling thing if you've never done it before, if you're not used to it. But you'll see that I have my gas-powered solder iron here. My regular solder iron that I use for meticulous soldering jobs in guitars only goes to 500 degrees, and that's perfect for what I use it for. This cat, well, it goes all the way up to 1200 degrees, but because it's basically a torch, it's gas powered, there's no cord, it's like a pencil or a big Sharpie. I like it. It really does serve a purpose, but it's basically a fire torch that shoots hot flame, open flame, into the solder tip. And it shoots out right there and right there. It shoots out hot air. And I mean, when I say hot, I mean lava hot. So when you're working down in a guitar cavity, trying to solder the tiniest little wires, that excessive lava hot air shoots out of there and it melts and does damage. So it's no good for working inside a body cavity, an electronics cavity. If you're trying to put a new pot in or change a selector switch or what have you, it doesn't matter. Or putting in new pickups, you can't use that kind. It's too unwieldy. It's great because it doesn't have a cord, but it's too hot and you can't adjust it. The electric one that I use, like this, it's got, it's even thinner and smaller, and it's perfect for working inside of control cavities. So that all being said, we don't need the flush cut saw anymore today. There's a lot of different ways to do this. Basically, we have a cup of water here. I lost my little syringes that I use. I take a little bit of water, and you want to put some water across. It's kind of leaning up this way a little bit, and the reason you put the water in there, there's glue that holds these fender wires in there. These are probably from the factory. And there's just a tiny little bit of CA glue down in there, or their equivalent of CA glue when they installed the original frets into the fretboard. It's tricky getting them out. I'm not going to lie to you. You're going to have chip out unless you do this extremely carefully. The guy that told me you're never going to get through a whole replacing frets without some sort of chip out. In fact, the first one that I did, that little guy right there. See where my finger is tapping? That little thing chipped out. I had to stop what I was doing, got the wire out, saved the piece of chip, went and got the CA glue, and I didn't use the super thin, I used the next one, the medium, and put that chip right back down in there. Now, once we remove all of these frets, we have to radius sand the fretboard down and clean up all of this. And then there's a special tool that you use to clean out the crevice to receive new fret wires. I get them pre-cut. I check the radius. This one happens to be 9.25. I believe it was 9.25, or yeah, 9.5, sorry. These are stainless. You can get softer ones. A lot of debate and argument goes on about how, which ones to use. These frets are probably way softer than those, but I'm telling you, when you're playing, you're not going to notice it, and stainless will last longer. They're harder to level, they're harder to crown, but once you get them fixed and set up and leveled and perfectly polished, they will last much longer. That being said, I am going to fire up our solder iron and make sure that we're getting fire in there. And it's getting hot. So the first thing that I do, these are your fret pulling pliers. The first thing that I usually do, and this is where I usually use a syringe or a eyedropper, is put a little bit of water. The water's going to want to run down that way. I'm going to start at this very end. And when this thing gets hot, you put the solder iron right on the fret wire. And when you start to see that water bubble and steam, I just like to get the edge up. Just the edge of the fret wire. And then you work your way down and do this slowly. Don't get ahead of yourself and try to pull the whole thing out. I'm sorry if my head gets in there, but I have to see. So we're going to put that right on there until that starts to bubble. And then I like to get the edge up. And then I work along in increments of 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch at a time. When I see that water start to bubble, steam, do whatever, which it's starting to do right now, and you want to make sure you're getting the very edge of it hot. Now what that's doing is putting moisture in there, and it seeps into the cavity, and it loosens up the glue that has been holding that fret wire in there all this time. And that should do it. And be ever so careful. Just the tip. And make sure you're flat to the fretboard. And it should pop right out. Just the edge. Don't get excited and start going across the fretboard. You want to do just a few millimeters at a time. Sorry if you're seeing just my fat head. I hope some of that is in the video. As soon as it starts to bubble a little bit, move down, get the next section to bubble. So you're working in 1/4 inch increments. You will smell it. You will see the water actually start to bubble and steam a little bit. Then pull out the next section and make sure that your fret pullers are level to the board. This will minimize your chip out. Trust me, these things were put in there and not meant to come out. So taking them out is really quite a task. Yep, and once it starts to bubble, and you can move yourself along. And again, don't get excited. Don't try to pull it all out at once. It looks like it wants to come out, but it may not. This one's doing really well. I don't see any chip out. It's heating up the glue, loosening up the glue, and the water assists in that process. And the heat will transfer down the fret wire as you go. Again, make sure that your fret pullers are level with the fretboard. That one popped right out. Shut this girl off. There was 0 chip out on that one. This guy right here, no, that one. That one I had a fair amount of chip out. There was probably extra glue in that one when they put it together. And that happens. Now, we're going to do the, I'm not going to film all of these. You saw how long it took to do just one of these. I'm going to continue on. There is a special tool that you use to clean out the cavity. There's a lot of goop down in there. I don't know if the camera can see that, but there's a special tool I lost mine. It's coming, a new one from the company that we all know and love. They have the best tools. They have a lifetime guarantee. They're expensive. But when you need specialty tools to do this kind of stuff, that's what you need. There's a special tool that you use to grind out all the, not wood, but all the excess glue and goop out of all of these fret slots. So we're going to do the entire fretboard, and then I'm going to clean them all up. And then the next step, when we come back, all of these are going to be out. And the next step is to radius sand the actual fretboard. And you have to have a sander with a little bit of sandpaper on it. You put some chalk marks on there, and then you sand it down. And all that's going to do is everywhere there is divots in the frets, guess what? There's a corresponding divot into the wood. Now, we're not going to sand it all the way down. We're just going to put a new finish on there, get it cleaned up, polish it, and get ready to put the new frets in. So, I hope this was helpful. I know it's different. It's unsettling to watch, and it's the first time I saw it done, I thought I would never be able to do that. But if you take your time and go slow and make sure that your tool is level to the fretboard and only do small increments, I say it over and over again, small increments. Heat it up, put a little water in there. It helps the glue loosen. And you can, little by little, some of them will come right out. Some of them are going to give you a hard time. I did 5 of them already, and I already had one of them. There's just a million little chip outs in there. Now, I know the fret wire will cover that, and it won't affect the way it plays, and you'll never see it. But every once in a while, the very first one that I did, and when you're working around the edges, that's where you're going to get the worst part of it. I had to glue in a chip out right there. So, that all being said, this is Blackjack with 396 Guitars. If you dig what I'm doing, please like and subscribe. We're in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We'll talk soon. The next time you see this, we're going to have all the frets off of it, and we're going to get ready to sand down the neck, and we're going to show installing some of the, cleaning the fret slots and installing some of the new frets. It takes a long time, so I'm only going to show a little bit at a time. So we'll talk soon.